Boom.
Boom.
Boom. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Rowdy.com Big Theory. We're talking Martinsville, Virginia, shortest track we run on the Sprint Cup circuit, and we run truck races there too. Truck Series driver Johnny Sauter with us to talk about Martinsville. What do you think about when you think about Martinsville?
I'll tell you, it brings back a lot of memories of short track racing in Wisconsin. You know, that's what a lot of us guys up there do, and or racers, I guess I should say. And there's so many paved racetracks up there, and they're small, tight quarters. And that's a lot like Martinsville, just beat and bang, kind of, you know, root and gouge, get them out of the way, get where you need to go. So it's a good atmosphere.
You think about this track, you think about that funky shape, like the 2 drag strips, 2 U-turns. I mean, those corners are tight. There's not a lot of banking. Must be hard to get your car to turn there, or your truck to turn there, and yet still be able to actually use the throttle.
The biggest challenge you face at Martinsville is being able to get into the corner, obviously, and be stable. But being, like you said, being able to roll that middle of that corner, because it's, you know, they call it a paper clip, and that's essentially what it races like. You drive in, stand on the brake pedal, and you get off the brake pedal and try to let it roll through the middle. And a lot of times you can get them freed up to where they roll the middle, but as soon as you go back to the gas, then they got no forward bite, or they're loose off. So it's just that fine balance, and that's what we strive for.
You know, you use your brakes so much at Martinsville compared to other tracks. Is brake technology such now that you don't have to sort of consciously save your brakes? Do they have the endurance built in now, or do you still have to sort of keep that in mind?
Yeah, I think that's something that, obviously, technology is a great thing, and time has been on our side as far as racing and competitors are concerned. Just, you know, I look at the braking systems we had 10 years ago and what we have now. They've come so far, and I'm not going to say that you can't have brake trouble there, because you can, but you know, essentially right now in a 200-lap race or 200-mile race, whatever it is with the trucks, you know, you don't have much brake failure, but you know, I can see myself being, I consider myself a pretty hard braking guy, so I think 15 years ago I'd probably been in big trouble.
Now, when you drive into the corners here, is this the kind of track it's easy to overdrive the corners, easy to get in there too hard and then kind of have trouble in the middle of the corner?
I think that's why you see a lot of the wrecks that you do. You know, Martinsville is a famous racetrack for a guy just getting his nose up to your inside like that, and getting down in the corner and just gets into you. He gets in, he's just trying to get that.
He wants to get past you, but he gets in there too hard. So,
you know, the corners at Martinsville, or watching from the press box, which is right there in turn 1 and 2, was where I first sort of really understood the concept of forward bite. Because you can just see it so clearly at Martinsville coming off the corner.
Some guys can get on the gas and some guys can't.
Yeah. And you know, the best analogy a guy can use is just trying to drive on ice. You know, I mean, everybody's driven on ice, especially down here. Just you try to get the throttle down, and it just there's no grip. The rear tires are just spinning, and that's what you face there. Is, like I said, you got to be able to roll that middle real fast and go back to the throttle good and hard. And if you can't do that, that's the forward bite issue. But that's the trick about that place.
And so obviously qualifying is huge at a place like Martinsville.
It's everything. I mean, track position's everything there. So. You know, it's like I said before, you're trying to make a 1 pit stop race out of it, and you know, so if you can qualify in the top 5, top 10, you're way farther ahead than the guy that qualifies 30th trying to win that race.
It just seems like that would make your life so much easier there. If you're starting 25th or something, then trying to work your way through all that traffic, it must be a long, tough day.
And I guess with the trucks, like you're saying, you can't really employ any pit strategy. You can't. I mean, you can't do like try to use pit strategy to get track position when you're in the truck so much.
Yeah, not really. I mean, you know, you can, I guess, but everybody has the same mentality going into the race. You know, I think if you surveyed, you know, 9 out of the 10 crew chief, if you surveyed 10 of them, 9 of them would have the same pit strategy going into the race. So it really limits your options for pit strategy. Where if you've got 500 miles, you've got a lot more to play with.
Yeah.
You know? Well, we'll pit here and they can pit later, and there's just a lot more time.
All right, let's get a couple picks from you. First, for your race, Truck Series race.
If
obviously
you're going to
pick
win,
yourself,
but you can't pick
who's going to come in second behind you? And then thinking about the Cup field, we know Denny and Jimmy, but maybe some other guys we ought to kind of keep an eye on there.
Boy. For the truck race, I think Harvick obviously is, you know, he's won like the last 2 or 3 spring races at Martinsville, so he's got to be somebody you really look at. The Cup race, I mean, I like Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He used to run real well here.
Yeah, and I think he's reinvigorated this year, and I know he's got all the talent in the world, so I don't see any reason why he can't win that race.
Well, I can tell you, once we hung that old Rainbow Warrior hood, that he won Phoenix the next week.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, so
It
Sucked
looks
it
like
up
came
ever
from
since.
Martinsville.
it's
Yeah.
actually Texas. Bill Elliott ended up on
okay.
top of him at Texas in 2000. And that's
Yeah,
not
that's
good.
not usually authorized. You got a pick there, Cutler, before we go?
Oh, well, can I
Martinsville?
pick Denny or Jimmy?
Sure.
I'm going to, you know what? Gosh, I don't think Denny's going to blow up 2 weekends in a row, and I think he is feeling the need to make a statement, to say he can get a race finished. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Denny Hamlin at Martinsville. I know, crazy.
I know. Well, I'll pick Jimmy Johnson, except if I weren't picking Jimmy Johnson, you know who I'd pick? I think I'd pick Smoke this week.
Got
All right,
some
that has been your Rowdy.com Big Three. Special thanks to Johnny Sauter for joining us here today, talking Martinsville. We'll be back next week to talk about what happened at Martinsville.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.